Have you ever wanted to develop applications, websites, games, and so on, but you don't have the coding capabilities, you don't have the coding knowledge, and you don't have the time to learn how to code? Now you can no longer say, I can't code, so I cannot develop A, B, or C. Today I'm going to bring you some AI coding assistants that will give you 100%. They will be like your AI coding slaves, and you can develop anything you can ever imagine just by prompting the AI. You can not only develop, you can deploy, you can market it, you can expand, you can do vibe coding, you can do anything that crosses your mind. If you have a project, you have a business, or you have an online business that you would like to develop, this is the right time to start. And I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it. So, as I wrote here, this is the end of I Can Code. You can develop anything with AI in plain English. English is the new coding language, and even your grandma can now develop professionally built applications. This was really my 4 a.m. revelation. I had a call with my friend Mik Mironov, and he is an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur, and he was telling me about Klein. He helped me to understand how to use it a few months ago. And it was totally insane. I was awake until 4 a.m. I was developing, building stuff. I was glued to the computer because how insane and revolutionary this AI is. And you probably have heard about other tools such as Cursor, Copilot, but Klein is really the best because it can do everything, not only to develop, but you can deploy, you can host it, you can do everything. It's really mind-bending what you can do with Klein. You can develop sophisticated web apps, immersive computer games, sleek online stores, powerful analytics tools. You can develop a meme coin if you're into crypto, or even a serious project. You can build business tools, any piece of software that you want. And this is also very important to if you are a business and you wanted to develop a certain application, you need to buy a piece of software. From now on, maybe instead of hiring a developer or buying that software from a company, you can probably just develop it by prompting the AI to develop it. Because tools like Line simply transform your natural language, just regular English, into professional working code and applications. So no syntax errors, no debugging, no Stack Overflow rabbit holes at 2 a.m. You can just go ahead and develop your applications. So I got really addicted to Klein. Since I discovered Klein, I've been developing so much stuff. I've been playing around. I haven't been having so much fun because I'm not a developer. And although I know a little bit of coding, it's very far from being enough to actually develop like applications from zero, from scratch. But now I can do it. So I've been doing tons of different stuff. And remember, and it's very important that you learn how to use these AI tools because if you are a developer, I really believe that developers, most of them will be replaced. Even Dario Amodei, the Anthropic CEO, he said in a couple of years, 80% of the computer code will be written by AI. And remember, AI won't replace you, but someone using the AI will. And you need to be that person mastering the AI. That's why I created this video, and that's why I created the first ever client course. I will leave the link in the description of the video. But let's get started. Your AI slave developer is here. You no longer need to pay a developer. Client can work for you 24/7, developing your dreams while you sleep. Or it's pretty much independent. You can develop anything when Klein. It takes a few minutes. Or if you want to develop something more complex, it can take a few hours, but integrates with different AI models, can be Claude, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, and so on. And you can code in any programming language. And as I said before, you have other tools like GitHub Copilot, Codium, CodeGeek, Blackbox, Cursor. But Klein and Roo, which is a fork of Klein, are actually the only ones that can do everything for you, from planning the project and giving you advice on how to develop it and giving you advice on the architecture. So Klein is not only the developer, but is also the architect of your application. It can code, it can debug, it can install dependencies, it can deploy, it can improve it, can do everything. And if you haven't heard about vibe coding is like you develop applications, you are just vibing with your applications. Client develop it will show you your application and say, oh, I want this button in blue, I want this part bigger, I want this smaller, I want to add a feature, and you just ask the AI to code this, right? It's pretty cool, and that's what's called vibe coding, because you code according to your vibe. You don't really code, it's the AI coding, right? So Client became very popular, of course. It has already over 1 million downloads. And don't stress if this sounds too technical, because I'm about to show you everything on how to do it. Okay, first step, you need to install VS Code, Visual Studio Code. If you don't know what Visual Studio Code is, Visual Studio Code is basically an IDE, integrated development environment. It's basically a piece of software that developers use to develop code, and this is what our AI will use to develop code. You don't need to touch a line of code, but you go ahead and download it. I have already, of course, downloaded it a long time ago. So I have here, it looks like this, but go ahead and download and install Visual Studio Code. And after that, you need to install Client. Client is a Visual Studio Code extension. To install it, you simply click here, Extensions, search for Client, and install Client. And once you install Client, you have an interface that looks something like this, okay? After that, you need to connect Client with the AI, because Client itself is not an AI model. Client is more like what's going to give access to the AI models to have access to your environment and to start coding. So now we need to connect Client to an AI API provider. To do so, you need to click here in this wheel, and you need to select an API provider. I selected OpenRouter because OpenRouter gives me access to different AIs. But if you have already Anthropic or DeepSeek or OpenAI APIs, you can do it. You paste the API key here, and then you select the AI model that you want to use. In this case, I'm using Claude 3.7. So once that is done, you are ready to start creating stuff with Client. You can now start asking Client to develop stuff. So I can just type here something. I will switch it to plan. I type something that I want a Client to develop. Again, can be a website, a game, a piece of software, any kind of software that you want. For example, you can just go ahead and ask Client to create a modern HTML website about humanoid robots. In this video, I'm not going to actually be doing it because otherwise the video will be a bit too long. But I'm going to show you all the steps. And of course, if you want to learn everything in detail, I have a 2 hour course where I have a few projects that you can develop. But if you want to check the course, check the resources section of the video. But basically, Client will develop anything you want. And once it develops, you can test it in your local computer. Of course, you are not going to launch a website or an app before testing it. So you can test your website or web application or game before launching it to production for your users to start using or for you to start selling it, right? And once you test it and you are happy with it, you can ask Client to deploy your application. You can ask Client to deploy it in a cloud service like AWS, Azure, Google Firebase. To do so, you can just say, hey, my dear Client, you need to be nice for AI, right? Because you don't know when they are going to take over. So always ask, please, and so on. Be sweet to the AI. And please help me to deploy these into XYZ. So if you have already an AWS account or Azure or Google Firebase, just help me deploying this website or app, whatever, to Google Firebase, for example. And that's it. If you are developing a very simple application, it can take like 10 minutes to be ready to be used. If you want to develop something more complex, it might take a few hours, okay? Peter Levels, for example, is a famous entrepreneur. He developed a game. It took him 3 hours to develop, okay? So it's kind of more complex stuff. And since then, he has improving it every day. But within the first 3 weeks of developing a game that was 100% developed by AI, he already made $100,000. Okay, so not bad for something that was 100% AI developed. Of course, there is way more when it comes to client. There are also MCP servers. MCP stands for Model Context Protocol, and it basically allows the AI to connect to web searches, connect to social media, to automate many, many. But I detail everything in my Code with AI course that you can check. It's the first ever client masterclass that was created because I got so excited about Klein that I decided to create a course about it. And conclusion is that coding is dead. I met a few developers since I started using Klein, and some of them already knew about Klein. Others didn't know much about Klein. They have used Copilot in the past. And I opened my laptop and I asked them, hey, prompt the AI to do something. And they write a prompt. Usually they try like a game, simple game like tic-tac-toe or something like that. And they're like impressed on how is it possible that an AI from scratch in like 1 minute can develop a game? Boom. Some simple game, to be fair, but it's very, very, very impressive. And can develop simple stuff, can also develop very, very complex stuff. If you want to develop something that is a simple app, it might take a few minutes. If you are willing to spend a few hours and ask the AI to improve and iterate, it can develop something very complex. So AI is really here flipping the tables, Now the power is in your hands, in the hands of the creators, in the hands of the visionaries, even in the hands of your grandma. Anyone can create an application. You no longer need to hire a developer. If you are a business, you can now save tons of money by going directly to Klein or Cursor or Copilot, but I prefer Klein because it can do everything. Go directly to the AI and ask to do it. And you can save, because instead of going and hiring a developer and paying $5,000, maybe you pay like $5 in AI API calls. For me, it's really mind blowing. And that's why, I created the Be Limitless community, link in the description, where I share all my knowledge about AI and also how to invest in these new technologies, because AI, crypto and so on, it's opening new doors, but it's also disrupting many industries. It will create in job disruption. And you need to take advantage of this, because if you are in one side of the trade, you might be unemployed. If you are on the other side of the table and you are investing in these technologies, you will benefit from it. And why not benefiting from it, right? That's why I created this community where I share everything on how to take advantage, how to benefit, how to use, and how to invest in these technologies. All right, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe so that the YouTube algorithm will suggest you more next time, and I'll see you soon.